A dozen eggs cost $6.80 more in Switzerland than in Egypt. That's not a typo, almost 5 times the price. You'd assume Switzerland loses this one before we even start the math. You'd be wrong. But not in the way you're expecting. 5 videos into this series now. Chicken and rice, bread, milk, and today, eggs. 9 countries this time, not 7. 2 new ones join the list, and both of them completely change how this video ends. One of them sneaks into the top 3 from a country nobody would guess. The other one sits at almost the exact same minimum wage as our worst performer ever, and still comes out miles ahead of it. If you've seen the last few videos, you already know the drill by now. Price of one item, divided by that country's legal minimum wage per hour. Not the average salary, the floor. Not a perfect measure, never has been, but it strips out the currency confusion that a plain price tag can't. Skip ahead if you want, I won't be offended. Still here? Good, let's get into it. Switzerland first this time, since it's the name from the hook. Geneva's minimum wage, $24.59 an hour. A dozen eggs there costs $7.31, the highest egg price of any country in the world. Not just on this list, anywhere, full stop. Swiss egg farming operates under strict animal welfare rules. No cage systems allowed, which pushes production costs up before the eggs even reach a shelf. Divide the price by the wage and you get 18 minutes. Respectable, not a win. Norway next. Hospitality wage floor, $19.50 an hour. A dozen eggs in Oslo costs $4.30, barely more than half of what Switzerland charges, despite Norway running similarly strict farming regulations. Divide it out and you get 13 minutes, faster than Switzerland. 2 videos running, Switzerland held this spot at the top of the list. Not anymore. Here's the new country, and it slots in right between those two. Japan. Tokyo's minimum wage, $7.86 an hour. Nowhere near Swiss or Norwegian pay. A dozen eggs there costs $2.25, one of the cheapest prices among wealthy countries on this list. Japan takes egg freshness seriously enough that raw egg over rice is a normal breakfast, not a risk anyone thinks twice about, thanks to strict handling standards most other countries don't enforce as tightly, from farm to shelf to the vending machines that sell eggs in some train stations. Divide it out and you get 17 minutes. Not the wage that got Japan here, the price did, almost entirely on its own. United States. Same baseline as always, $7.25 an hour. A dozen eggs costs $4.23, almost identical to Norway's price in raw dollars, which makes what comes next a little uncomfortable. Egg prices here have swung wildly over the past couple of years, driven mostly by avian flu outbreaks wiping out laying flocks faster than farms can replace them. Divide it out, and you get 35 minutes. Nearly triple Norway's number, for eggs priced about the same on the shelf. Russia. Minimum wage, roughly $1.68 an hour. A dozen eggs costs $1.77. Cheap almost everywhere you look at it. One of the more accessible protein sources in the country, and one that shows up constantly, boiled into salads, fried for breakfast, baked into pastry dough. Divide it out, and you land at 63 minutes, just over an hour. Vietnam. Minimum wage in Hanoi, 98 cents an hour. A dozen eggs runs $1.49, often sold loose by the piece at a market stall rather than packaged in a carton the way they are in the US, so the price per egg can shift slightly depending on size and where you're buying. Divide it out, and you get 91 minutes, just over an hour and a half. 3 videos deep before today, and Nigeria's number just kept getting worse each time. It's about to get worse again. If that's the kind of pattern you want to keep tracking, subscribing does that for you automatically. Moving on. Nigeria. Minimum wage, about 28 cents an hour. A dozen eggs costs $1.89, actually more expensive than in Russia or Vietnam, despite Nigeria's much lower wage floor. Local poultry farmers deal with high feed costs. Much of the grain used to feed laying hens gets imported, which pushes retail egg prices up, even though the eggs themselves are produced domestically. Divide it out, and you land at 409 minutes. 6 hours and 49 minutes. For a dozen eggs. almost a full workday. Here's why India had to be on this list. India's national wage floor works out to almost exactly the same hourly rate as Nigeria's, 27 cents an hour versus Nigeria's 28. Same wage tier, basically, once you round it. A dozen eggs in India costs 97 cents, the cheapest sticker price on this entire list, cheaper even than Egypt. Divide it out and you get 219 minutes, 3 hours and 39 minutes. Sit with that pairing for a second because it's the cleanest comparison this series has produced so far. Two countries paying almost the identical minimum wage down to the cent. One number is 409 minutes, the other is 219. Same wage floor, completely different outcome. The wage didn't cause that gap. It couldn't have, since it's basically the same number twice. The price did, on its own, cutting the workday nearly in half. Last country, Egypt. Minimum wage, about 57 cents an hour. A dozen eggs costs around $1.50. Unlike bread, eggs in Egypt carry no subsidy, no fixed decree, no ration card system behind them. It's a plain market price, set the same way it would be almost anywhere else. Divide it out and you get 158 minutes, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Better than India, nowhere close to Nigeria. Full order now, fastest to slowest in actual work time. Norway, 13 minutes. Japan, 17 minutes. Switzerland, 18 minutes. United States, 35 minutes. Russia, 63 minutes. Vietnam, 91 minutes. Egypt, 158 minutes. India, 219 minutes. Nigeria, 409 minutes. Norway beating Switzerland is one headline. Japan slipping in ahead of Switzerland on a fraction of the wage is the other, and it might be the bigger one. Japan doesn't have Swiss or Norwegian pay, not even close. It just doesn't overcharge for eggs the way wealthier countries sometimes do, and that alone was enough to outrank a country paying more than 3 times the hourly wage. Wealth bought Switzerland almost nothing here. Then there's Nigeria and India sitting almost on the same wage floor, ending up nearly 200 minutes apart, the widest gap this series has ever produced between two countries paying the same base rate. 4 videos in, here's what actually holds up across all of them. Wealth doesn't guarantee a cheap outcome. Switzerland proved that twice now. A shared low wage doesn't guarantee a shared outcome either. Nigeria and India just proved that in the same video. The only thing that seems to matter every single time is the ratio between the two. Not the price alone, not the wage alone. What happens once you actually divide one by the other? Next time, coffee, since that came up a lot in the comments after the milk video. Same 9 countries now. Norway just won this round after losing the first 2. Japan showed up out of nowhere and nearly took the top spot. Place your bet in the comments on how coffee scrambles this list, because at this point, something always does. One last thing before you go. Nigeria has now lost 4 times, each one worse than the last. Comment yes if you want an entire separate video just breaking down why. Wages, imports, farming costs, the whole picture, no other country involved, nothing to distract from it. If enough of you want that, it happens next, before we even get to coffee. And if this is the kind of series you want to keep catching as it goes, subscribing does the heavy lifting for you. No searching your feed for it later, no missing the one where the pattern finally breaks for good. That's really all there is to it. See you for coffee.